Hey, where are you right now? I'm not sure. Don't upset me. There's nothing belonging to us in the house. What's happening? Well, I packed up all my things and left, okay. I don't get it. Why would you leave? Well, we got divorced, so it's not odd for me to leave, right? Divorced? I'm the one who filed the divorce papers. What? My name is Claire. I'm 35 years old and work in an office. I'm married to Evan, and we've been together for 5 years. Evan used to work at a company, but he quit his job 2 years ago to start his own business. Unfortunately, his business hasn't been doing well, and we've been struggling financially for the past 2 years. Luckily, I have a good income, so we're able to make ends meet. Our relationship as a couple is okay, not great, but not terrible either. However, I have a big problem with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law who live in my husband's family home. Every time I see them, they make fun of how I look and always find something to complain about. It really upsets me and makes me feel stressed out. My in-laws' house is only a 10-minute drive from our apartment, so my husband often wants to visit them. When we first got married, I went along with it to please my husband, but lately I've started to stand up for myself because their behavior has become too much to handle. Even when I try to stand up for myself, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law don't stop. They always find ways to ask me for money. Hey Claire, I need $500 to buy a birthday present for a friend. Can you give it to me? $500? What are you buying? I'm planning to gift a trip, and I'll be going too. No, that sounds odd. It's like I'm footing the bill, and I can't afford to give $500. You're so tight-fisted, Claire. Are you a miser? Even though Evan supports you. Excuse me? I'm the one supporting him. My husband hasn't contributed anything to our living expenses in the past year, and you, sister-in-law, should get a job. It's not okay to be unemployed at your age. Why does my mother-in-law accept my sister-in-law's unemployment? I wanted to say all of this, but my husband interrupted. Hey Claire, I have a friend's birthday coming up. I want to buy a present, so could you give me $500? You really understand, Evan. You're a good son. Then can I also get about $300? I need it for something. I wasn't sure. It's okay, Claire. You should have about $300 in your wallet, right? Come on, give it to her quickly. My husband, maybe out of pride, made me give the money to my sister-in-law without hesitation. And then he started saying confusing things like, thanks to me, we can live this luxurious life. I couldn't understand why my husband was acting this way lately. During the car ride home, I confronted him. Why do you act like this? I have my pride as the eldest son, he started saying even more confusing things. This led to a big argument. Once you give them money, they become bossy. What's wrong with making my own mother happy? We can't afford to live that lavishly, you know. Do you get it? You're not contributing anything to our living expenses. So what? We got a big bonus this summer. Don't rely on that. That money is for savings. Since then, my husband and I have been constantly fighting. How can he act so arrogantly when we're struggling financially? Why does he always have to be in a position of power over me? His flaws are becoming more and more apparent. I realized I didn't have to put up with things I didn't like just for him. So when he recently said, "We're going to my mom's," I responded, "You go by yourself." My husband tried to argue, saying, "What do you mean? It's normal for the wife to come too." But when I pointed out, "So you're abnormal because you don't come when we go to my parents' house," he got annoyed and said, "Do whatever you want," then went to his parents' house alone. A weekend without my mother-in-law and sister-in-law was such a relief. It felt so comfortable and nice. With some free time to myself, I focused on working towards my dream, and that dream is to buy my own home. I spent time researching online and ordering brochures. My dreams and aspirations were growing, and just thinking about my new house made me excited. As I looked at different furniture options online, I imagined carefully arranging them in my future home. Lost in these thoughts, time passed quickly, and before I knew it, evening had arrived and my husband was back. "Oh, welcome home." Oh, is he still upset? How childish. He should act more mature as a grown man. I wasn't trying to cater to my husband, so I continued making dinner without speaking to him. Then out of nowhere, my husband spoke up. "You've been quite bold lately, huh? Standing up to me and saying you don't want to see my mother and the others." Defying? We're equals in this relationship. Besides, your mother and the others always criticize me, so I don't want to visit your parents' house anymore. That's what I mean by being bold. Normally, wives are expected to obey their husbands. If you say I can't do that, you're talking about divorce, right? Divorce? Are you surprised that I wouldn't mind being divorced by you? But I'm really upset with you. I've already prepared my part of the paperwork, so it can be submitted anytime. I'll let it go this time, but if you defy me again, it'll be an instant divorce. Think about that. With that, my husband smirked and ordered, I'm going to take a bath. Hurry up and make dinner. Once I confirmed he was in the bath, I couldn't help but feel relieved. Yes, now I can end things with that man whenever I want. I cooked dinner happily. From then on, I worked hard to save money. I was almost ready to make the down payment. It was difficult to contain my excitement and keep from smiling. But in front of my husband, I acted calm. Finally, I bought a house in my own name. All that's left is to get a divorce after the house is ready and leave the home I share with my husband. I started packing my belongings little by little without my husband noticing and sent them to my parents' house temporarily. I had told my parents everything, and they understood my situation. Finally, the house was finished. When my husband went to his parents' house as usual on the weekend, I moved all my things to my new home. The new house is very comfortable, and both the inside and outside are just as I imagined. As I enjoyed the pleasant scent of a new home all day, my husband called me that night. Hey, where are you? Well, where do you think I am? Don't play games with me. There's nothing left in the house. What's happening? Well, I packed up all my stuff and left. What? I don't understand. Why would you do that? Well, since we're divorced now, it's not unusual for me to move out, is it? Huh? Divorced? I already filed the divorce papers. What? We're not together anymore. Don't try to fool me. I won't accept that. But you were the one who said we could get divorced whenever. As a businessman, you should stand by your words. Anyway, this is the end for us. With that, I hung up the phone. Finally, I was free from my husband. That night, I slept peacefully. Living in my new home was so comfortable, and every morning, I woke up feeling refreshed. Today, I decided to invite my parents over to my new home for the first time. As I was cooking alone in the kitchen, my parents arrived with a bottle of celebratory sake. They were both surprised and impressed by my new home. And then the three of us raised our glasses for a toast. Even though it was a bit early, we started celebrating. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Huh? Who could it be at this hour? When I checked the intercom, I saw my ex-husband, ex-mother-in-law, and ex-sister-in-law standing there. Why are you here? From now on, my parents and I will be living here. My father is in the hospital right now, but when he's discharged, he'll also be living here. Please leave immediately. No way, that's absurd. Why should I do that? Please leave my property right now. Then my ex-mother-in-law stepped forward. You cheeky girl, listen. What's yours is mine. If you understand, open the door. What are you talking about? I'm single now. Huh? Didn't your son tell you? We've already filed for divorce. We're strangers now. Upon hearing this, my ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law looked at my ex-husband. He seemed to be explaining something to them, although I couldn't see clearly on the intercom screen. He was probably saying something like, I don't accept this. I told them anyway, you can't enter this house. Please leave, and hung up the intercom. As my ex-husband continued shouting at the front door, demanding to talk, I was at a loss for what to do to make him leave. Then, to my surprise, a police car pulled up in front of my house, and they took my ex-husband into custody. From inside, I could hear my ex-husband protesting and struggling as the police pinned him to the ground. It hurts. Why is this happening to me? Meanwhile, my ex-mother-in-law and ex-sister-in-law stood there in shock upon learning that their son was divorced. They weren't arrested, but they were escorted away in the police car. After watching my ex-husband and his family being taken away, I returned inside the house, wondering who had called the cops. Then, to my surprise, my father made a peace sign. In situations like this, you call the police immediately. Trust your always calm dad. We continued our party with another round of drinks. As for how my ex-husband found out where I live, it turns out he followed me home from work because he admitted to stalking me. If he shows up again, he'll be arrested on the spot. With his timid personality, it's unlikely that he'll come near this house again. I also obtained a restraining order against his family. After the incident, it seems my ex-husband's business went downhill, and he accrued a lot of debt. With the divorce, the financial support he and his family were relying on from me was cut off. Additionally, with his father in the hospital, they had no source of income, so they had to sell their house. It's a case of reaping what they sowed. On the other hand, I invited my parents to live with me in my new home. They're very happy, calling me incredibly filial, and they're enjoying life in our new home. I want to continue cherishing my parents and live happily as a close-knit family. With his timid personality, it's unlikely that he'll come near this house again. I also obtained a restraining order against his family. After the incident, it seems my ex-husband's business went downhill, and he accrued a lot of debt. With the divorce, the financial support he and his family were relying on from me was cut off. Additionally, with his father in the hospital, they had no source of income, so they had to sell their house. It's a case of reaping what they sowed. On the other hand, I invited my parents to live with me in my new home. They're very happy, calling me incredibly filial, and they're enjoying life in our new home. I want to continue cherishing my parents and live happily as a close-knit family.